Why can it feel so difficult to move on after investing so much into a relationship? And why do people sometimes stay attached even when they know a relationship is no longer healthy? Why does closure sometimes feel impossible to find? And how can you reframe painful experiences so that they become meaningful growth rather than wasted effort? Have you ever noticed that sometimes the hardest part about moving on from a relationship isn't actually letting go of the person? It's the feeling that if you let go, everything that you went through might not have meant anything. So here's the first thing. When a fearful avoidant stays stuck, it's not necessarily because they still want the relationship. It's not necessarily because they still want to be back together with the person. They stay stuck because they never got the emotional resolution that essentially their nervous system needed. And so, what does that actually mean? What does that actually look like? Well, if a fearful avoidant is in a relationship and they are finding themselves out of that relationship, realizing this isn't for me, but looking back and they keep going back to that person, or it's their phantom ex, they keep thinking or feeling about that person in the past. There's some really powerful golden nuggets to unlock, okay? So I want to take you through an exercise here together if you are somebody who's in this situation right now. And even if you're not a fearful avoidant, if you're any other attachment style and you're just curious about anytime you felt yourself going back to somebody or thinking about somebody a lot, I'm going to take you through an exercise and I'll explain it with a story after. So first things first, I want you to think about the person that you find yourself continuously going back to in your mind. And maybe you're wondering what they're doing, or maybe you're wondering what their life looks like, or if they still care about you. Maybe you have those types of thoughts, okay? But I want you to think of that person and I want you to notice, step one, the types of things you think about with them. Usually for people, it's like different memories. Like maybe you reminisce about certain things with somebody, times that you had a really meaningful conversation, or times that you laughed or traveled around, or whatever it might be. I want you to think of those types of things. I want you to ask yourself, what is the pattern here in terms of what I go back to in my memory? So maybe it's all the times that you had meaningful conversations. Maybe it's a time that that person had your back and made you feel protected and safe, and you keep thinking about that. There's going to be something specific if you're willing to look, and it's not random, okay? So what are the patterns or themes in what you think about with that person? Question number 3, in those themes, what needs of yours were being met? In other words, if this person like always had your back and you think of how that person stood up for you and protected you, maybe you felt that the need for protection was met. Or if it was a really meaningful conversation, you felt seen and heard and understood. Okay, there you go. Your needs were that you felt seen, heard, understood. Maybe it was the way somebody spoke to you or validated you and you felt reassured and cared about. Maybe it was trying new things with somebody and there was spontaneity and novelty. So I want you to get really clear and specific here. And once you've started to note some of these specific needs, I want you to ask yourself from 1 to 10, how much are these needs being met in your life now? Because here's the thing. When we think about people from the past, it is never random. It is your subconscious mind, which is responsible for 95% or more of all of your beliefs, thoughts, emotions, and daily decisions. It is your subconscious mind going back to try to retrieve needs that are not being met in the present. And if your subconscious mind cannot get its needs met, your habituated self cannot get its needs met in the present, guess what it does? It goes to autopilot. You think on autopilot, fantasies of the future, or memories of the past. And you'll either fantasize about somebody in the future or you'll fantasize about things from your past experiences. And if you pay really close attention when you are in the fantasy, you actually feel things. Maybe you feel euphoria or excitement or gratitude or whatever it is. You actually, being in memory or fantasy actually solicits feelings, emotional reactions, and thus neurochemical reactions that follow. So when we feel disempowered to get our needs met in the present, we will spend more time in the fantasy or in past memories as a way of simulating getting those needs met. And our mind and body and nervous system will be affected by the neurochemistry of that experience. What you'll start to see here, and I'll tell you how to go into this in a little more detail in a second and what this actually means. What you'll start to see is if you're having a hard time getting over your ex or you're going back and thinking about somebody from your past, it's literally not random. I had this woman one time and she was in a relationship with 2 kids. And she was married and she said she was happily married. And she was actually there to work on like her kids and being a parent and how that impacted her kids' attachment style. And she said to me one day, she's like, I keep thinking about my ex. I find myself for sure never wanting to be with that person again. I know that we weren't a good fit for each other, but I keep thinking about my ex. Now, this woman, she had her two kids. They were both under the age of 3. And she was in a really high-powered corporate job. So her life was just like full of seriousness and responsibility every day. And she's sitting there and she's saying to me, why on earth am I thinking about my ex, who I'm happy with my partner? What's going on? And I said, well, what are you thinking about with your ex? And she said, how the relationship was so carefree and everything was spontaneous and carefree. And I said, okay, and 1 to 10, how much do you think that a sense of being carefree and spontaneous in your life now is being met? And she like burst out laughing. She was like a 0. And I was like, well, it's because your mind is hungering for more of that. And so it goes to retrieve those feelings and emotions from memories in the past to solicit those feelings in the present. And what that is actual feedback. There's golden nuggets for there for you to unlock. And I said, okay, well, what are things you can start doing now? And the strategy we came up with was to carve out time for spontaneity, which sounds funny, but that was the best she could do. So what she did is she would have a date night every week with her husband. She made sure she like showed up for that. And they would pick something spontaneous to do. They would pick something, even if it was for 4 hours while one of their parents was watching the kids, they would actually pick something spontaneous to do there. So she got that need met. And guess what? Those fantasies went away. I just wanted to pop in here and let you know we are doing a 7-day free trial to the All Access Membership Pass at PDS, which means you get access to literally everything inside of the school. And this includes the 4 live webinars I do with our students every single week. And on top of that, you get access to all of our different courses. We have over 55 different courses on relationships, communication, boundaries, emotional mastery, guilt and shame, learning your needs, so many different facets that are really important to master our lives and feel really good about our lives going forward. And last but not least, there's a daily community event. We have trained facilitators and coaches who are in there doing that work, showing up to support you on your journey every single day. Please join me on the other side. Come check it out. See if it's a fit for you. I'd love to see you there. Go ahead and sign up by clicking the link in the description box below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this channel. If you haven't yet, I would love to have you here. I will see you in tomorrow's video if you want to stop by then.